From the early days of niche anime to the mainstream present, Japanese animation has influenced the global film industry in many ways. Many live-action flicks have incorporated the visual style and storytelling elements of these beloved animated works into their own productions. Here are some of the most notable films that were inspired by anime, starting off with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
I think there's a thingy over here somewhere.
A thingy?
A door.
This movie is a love letter to all things geeky and cool, and it wears its influences on its sleeve like a badge of honor. From the pixelated graphics of 8-bit games like Street Fighter to the stylized panels of Brian Lee O'Malley's comics, the film oozes comic book charm. The bright colors and quirky characters are sure to delight any fan of manga and comics. But wait, there's more! The creators of this movie have also drawn inspiration from some of the most iconic anime of all time. Imagine Naruto's hand signs and Afro Samurai's deadly swordsmanship combined into one epic showdown. That's exactly what you get with the final boss fight against Gideon. Director Edgar Wright and concept designer Oscar Wright truly outdid themselves with this masterpiece of visual storytelling. So, if you're a fan of anything from comics to video games to anime, you won't want to miss out on this epic adventure. The references don't end there though, as up next, there's Clash of the Titans. Most of the epic fantasy flick definitely drew inspiration from the timeless tales of Greek mythology, but it doesn't stop there. The director Louis Leterrier also drew inspiration from Saint Seiya, Knights of the Zodiac, a manga that'll make you feel like a true warrior of the cosmos. The breathtaking armor worn by the gods was a direct tribute to the genius of Masami Kurumada, the mastermind behind the series. Leterrier was so blown away by Kurumada's exquisite design elements that he just had to pay homage to them in his movie. And you know what? It worked. The armor is so intricately designed that you'll want to reach out and touch it. But that's not all, folks. Warner Bros. Was so impressed by Kurumada's work that they even approached him to design the movie's poster for its Japanese release. And guess what? He said yes. It's no wonder that Clash of the Titans has become a fan favorite in both the Western and Eastern worlds. But the anime references don't just end at live-action projects, as we've also got The Lion King. Back in the 1950s, a young Osamu Tezuka revolutionized the world of manga with his groundbreaking creation, Kimba the White Lion. It was adapted into animation in the 60s and became an international sensation, captivating audiences with its heartwarming story and stunning visuals. But fast forward to the 90s, and a certain animation giant, Disney, released a movie called The Lion King, which they claimed was an original story. However, many fans and critics alike noticed some striking similarities between the two, including almost identical scenes and character names. I mean Simba and Kimba. It's like they didn't even try to hide it. To make matters worse, Disney then went on to make millions with the live-action version of The Lion King in 2019. Despite the outcry from fans and the glaring evidence of plagiarism, the studio has continued to defend itself, refusing to acknowledge the influence that Kimba had on their original creation to this day. In fact, in an interview, Matthew Broderick, the voice actor for Simba, initially thought he was being cast for a remake of Kimba. But thankfully, not everyone is that much of a leech. Case in point is The Matrix. Sure, we all know the iconic lines like, "I know Kung Fu," and "There is no spoon." But did you know that the film was heavily inspired by anime? More specifically, Mamoru Oshii's Ghost in the Shell. The Wachowski sisters, the masterminds behind The Matrix, drew from Ghost in the Shell in many ways. From the use of fast-paced green typography to the concept of cortical jacks that allow users to enter and exit the Matrix. The resemblance is uncanny. Both works also share a common theme of individuals discovering the true nature of their existence and grappling with what it means to be alive. Now, I'm not saying that The Matrix is a ripoff. Far from it. The Wachowski sisters have always been upfront about their admiration for Oshii's masterpiece and how it influenced their work, unlike a certain animation studio that won't be mentioned twice. And let's face it, The Matrix has become a cultural phenomenon in its own right, with countless imitators and parodies over the years. But moving on from a film about shifting between digital bodies to one about physical ones, let's talk about Avatar. And no, I'm not talking about the arguably superior Nickelodeon version. Yup, you heard me right. James Cameron took some inspiration from the world of anime to create his epic sci-fi adventure. While he hasn't explicitly mentioned any specific influence, the similarities between the film and two popular anime are hard to ignore, namely Princess Mononoke and Ghost in the Shell. Both films deal with the theme of humans encroaching upon nature and the resulting conflicts that arise. They also explore the concept of sharing human consciousness through cortical jacks. It's no wonder that fans of these anime have drawn comparisons between the works. Plus, Cameron has also praised Ghost in the Shell in the past, calling it a stunning work of speculative fiction. So, it is possible that he may have taken some inspiration from there as well. Speaking of stunning works of speculative fiction though, how can I not mention Inception? A dream within a dream within a dream. That's the premise of Christopher Nolan's film, exploring the concept of shared dreaming and manipulating people's minds through technology. But did you know that this blockbuster hit was heavily influenced by Satoshi Kon's Paprika? The similarities between the two movies are uncanny. Both deal with the idea of entering someone's dreams using a device, and the possibility of using this technology for nefarious purposes. But it's not just the plot that draws parallels. Some of the scenes seem to also be directly lifted from Paprika. One such scene is the fight in the rotating hallway, where the characters are seen fighting as the entire room rotates around them. This scene is almost identical to a similar scene in Kon's work, where the characters are also seen fighting in a rotating corridor. Christopher Nolan himself has acknowledged the influence that the film had on his project. He praised Kon's work, saying, "Paprika was a film that I watched repeatedly while making Inception. It's clear that without some Japanese inspo, Inception wouldn't have been the masterpiece that it is today." Even more recent flicks, such as Pacific Rim, also have some of that spice in them. When it comes to this project, there's a lot more to it than just giant robots and monsters duking it out. Sure, fans of mecha anime like Neon Genesis Evangelion might see similarity, but turns out that neither Travis Beacham nor Guillermo del Toro had even seen the iconic series when they were working on the film. Instead, del Toro drew inspiration from classic mecha films and TV shows like Ultraman, Patlabor, and Tetsujin 28. These were the stories that ignited his passion for the genre and shaped his vision for the film's epic battles. But that's not all. Del Toro also referenced the hit series Attack on Titan, written by Hajime Isayama. In the series, humanity builds walls to protect itself from giant humanoid creatures called Titans. And in Pacific Rim, the humans do the same to keep the kaiju at bay. Apart from that, the pilots of the giant robots, called Jaegers, also have a name that's suspiciously similar to the protagonist of Attack on Titan, Eren Yeager. Coincidence? I think not. But hey, that's all for the impact of Japanese animation on Hollywood blockbusters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.